Hello guys and welcome back to a brand new match review here on the channel. My name is James and today we're going to go ahead and sit down and talk to you guys about Reading's 1-0 defeat at home to Lincoln City. That's right, the Royals were defeated by the Imps today and unfortunately have now dropped out of the playoff positions. If I'm honest, it was one of the more uneventful games of the season and Reading massively lacked a creative threat in this game. This match really screamed for Ben Elliott if we're being completely honest, but unfortunately it doesn't seem like he's going to be coming back anytime soon. Has only just started grass or contact training recently, and to me this game screamed out for Ben Elliott. As like we said, Reading were really lacking creatively and just struggled to create any real chances, and I feel like the Lincoln goalkeeper, apart from the save he had to make in the first half, had a really easy afternoon. And if we're honest, the front three deserve criticism today. Look, I'm not going to sit here and moan about the season and stuff like this because look, Reading have defied the odds. Reading have been fantastic throughout the entire season, but the players aren't immune to criticism at the same time, and I thought Chem Campbell, Kelvin Ehibachiman and Mamadi Kamara were massive letdowns today. There was a real big crowd and I thought Reading really were looking to ride a wave of momentum as Reading were 3 points clear of the playoffs going into this game, and unfortunately now we've dropped out of the top 6 and are now sat in 7th due to Leyton Orient coming from a 3-1 deficit against Barnsley and winning the game by 4-3. Something that Reading could only dream of was scoring 4 goals, as unfortunately we just lack such a creative threat. And if I'm honest, when Lewis Wing's not on it, Reading aren't on it either. Now, in terms of the starting 11 that Noel Hunt went with today, Joel Pereira was the man in between the sticks. The back four saw Kelvin Abrafa, Tyler Binden, Amadou Mbenge and Andre Garcia play across it. The midfield three saw consistency, as always, with Lewis Wing, Charlie Savage and Harvey Nibbs. Out wide, Mamadi Kamara and Chem Campbell played, while Ehibachiman was up front. Now, like we said, the players aren't immune to criticism, and I thought Ehibachiman was particularly poor again. He is not a number 9, and I'm really frustrated that Noel Hunt's continuing to play him as a striker. It's clear that Kelvin Ehibachiman can't play as a striker, and comparisons to Lucas João in the past really do shine through with the lack of ability of being able to win anything in the air and being able to hold the ball up at all. I thought Kelvin had a really poor game again, and in terms of the wingers, both of them were massively missing, and it's something that is just a consistent thing when it comes to Mamadi Kamara. If I'm honest, when Kamara plays, it feels like Reading play with 10 men on the pitch, and again, I don't want to come here and just project and really just criticise them for the whole season and stuff like this, but Mamadi Kamara has not been good, and if I'm honest, he really does look like a competition winner whenever he plays out there. And unfortunately today, it really did just show again, and his real late challenge, which was a real unnecessary free kick to give away, has cost Reading a little bit. Yes, the defending for the free kick as well has cost Reading, but a real unnecessary challenge that was put in and ended up getting a yellow card and a real late tackle has cost Reading here, if I'm being honest. Now, in terms of, like we said, the first half, it was a real uneventful game, if we're being completely honest. The first 20 minutes saw Reading play all right and saw the best chance of the first half go Reading's way, with Amadou Mbenge having a loop-in header, which saw the goalkeeper make a save for Lincoln. After that, a couple of opportunities came Lincoln's way, and if I'm honest, from the 20th minute onwards, Lincoln were the better of the two sides. Freddie Draper had opportunities, Adam Jackson had a chance as well, and there was a few opportunities for Lincoln to score, but nothing overly troubling for Joel Pereira in goal. Now, the second half again was very uneventful as well, and if I'm honest, the game was just a real bit of a slog, and if I'm honest, it was a bit of a boring match, if we're honest. Now, look, we know Reading set up with this defensive philosophy, and Reading, look, have been fantastic defensively, if we're being honest, over the course of Noel Hunt's tenure from the Burton Albion game onwards. And if I'm honest, I just feel like maybe Reading need to maybe let loose with the attacking flow and let the juices run a little bit and try and make something in terms of going forward, because I really thought there was that lack of energy today, and Reading massively missed the threat of Ben Elliott. I feel like he was someone who in this game would have massively stood out. He's someone that can create space for himself all the time. He's someone that doesn't mind driving with the ball. He's someone that can pick a pass as well. And I thought Ben Elliott was just crying out in this fixture, or at least the game was crying out for a Ben Elliott type of player. Like we said as well, Ehibachiman poor up front. Wareham came on and didn't really do much better, if I'm being honest, but still got himself about and was battling the defenders a lot more than I felt like Ehibachiman was. When Kelvin went out wide again, you could just see the weakness on the ball. There was at one point where he had the ball, he tried beating his defender, the defenders just brushed him aside and it's gone out for a goal kick. And to me, just really described Reading's day as a whole. Reading were quite feeble and Reading were quite poor, if we're being honest. And that poorness has cost Reading. It's cost us dearly, as we're now out of the top six, like we said. But the goal came for Lincoln in the second half. 66 minutes on the clock, like we said. Kamara committing a foul and getting a free kick for Lincoln City. James Collins comes off the bench and with his first touch, heads the ball into the back of the net. It was poor defending, poor marking from Reading. And unfortunately, he's been left free and able to score the goal. Now, look, apart from that, Reading didn't challenge Lincoln at all after the goal went in. The biggest opportunity came Savage's way, which was again just a 20-25 yard strike from outside the box, which just went over. But in terms of troubling the goalkeeper, Reading really struggled to do that, and it's cost us dearly as we're now dropping down to 7th. If you would have told me at the start of the season, would you take 7th? Of course I would have. But now with 3 games to go, where Reading were in a position where it was in their hands with 4 games to go, I don't want to take 7th. I really want to get into the playoff positions, but unfortunately, maybe it's a long old season. Reading have only got 11 starters, really, and maybe it's starting to get to them. I thought it was a bit of a sluggish performance. It was a bit of a poor one, and in terms of a Good Friday, was not a Good Friday at all. That's going to be it for this one today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. My name's been James. Hopefully, we'll see some improvement on Monday as Reading travel to Mansfield. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.